Happy Sunday, everybody. Hope you guys all have had a wonderful weekend. Um, my first time getting a chance to stop and take a look at what's happening here with NIO. I'm going to try and break it down from a velocity standpoint of view, just to kind of take away the element of speculating, the element of like feeling things out. This is as unbiased as it can get if you just strictly just analyze the velocity. The 24 hours, like, still things are looking good. Looking real good. You can see it's actually starting to give you finally that curl to the upside. I was hoping that we would actually bounce last week here sooner to give you a daily bullish divergence. Now, there's only one way you can get a bullish divergence now, and that would be to kind of just, there's two ways. It swings below the lows here at 424 and taps just below it and then runs. It would kind of look like this. Like, I have to zoom that in for a second here. It would look like this. The bullish divergence would look like this. The other way you get a bullish divergence is it takes out the lows here at 361. Which could potentially look something like this. Right? And now you have a higher low, which could potentially start like a multi-year rally. Potentially, right? Like, there's a lot of things that need to happen for it to happen, but it could happen. And then you would have like this nice uptrend here. It would look gorgeous. But 24 hours, like, we only had like 5 days last week. It might have been even, was Juneteenth last week? So like 4 days. It was kind of a short week. So let's go look at the 2-hour time frame and let's take a look here on what's happening here. You'll start to notice now we're actually getting an uptrend, and it's actually breaking the 200-day moving average. Now, how significant is that? I would say it's quite significant. You'll notice these moves here stayed below the 200-day moving average. And now we finally kind of have a break above the 200-day moving average on the 200-day moving velocity. And it's now you have like an uptrend. Now, two things come to mind when I look at this uptrend. We had something similar kind of happen right around here, as you guys remember. If anyone that was watching or watched my tweet, I was quite excited about like this uptrend. So, and you can see I was like, oh, it's starting an uptrend. Things are looking good. And then it broke down and knifed down. But you could see it was very short-lived, and it instantly like reclaimed that. And where are we right now? We're like literally right on that zone again. But again, this is exciting. It's good to see. Now, another thing that's exciting is you can see this is making higher lows on the 200-day moving average. These are very good things to see with like the momentum. And it's obvious, like the selling pressure has definitely died down. Things are a lot more stable on NIO. Things are a lot more boring, as if you want to say that. I think it's probably the month for NIO is going to be July, if I had to guess. Now let's take a look at a couple things here. So we have this trend line, which did represent this velocity breaking to the upside. Now this dip was a bit higher, lower, but without a doubt in my mind, it's coming back up here to retest this. Okay, it's going to come back up there. I think the sell-off was pretty harsh, so you might need some more consolidation before it goes up there, but it's going to go there. So it broke that, and let's take a look. We also have this trend line, which it hasn't, but it seems like things are on the up and up. Like, typically when you see these 200-day moving averages, when they break on that 2-hour, you start seeing some price move in a very positive direction. With the exception of this was kind of crazy. Something's coming. I know that something is coming. You can't hide it from me. And you can even see here this whole rally from like 7 to 9, which got a lot of people excited here. It took a while, right? This took a while, but like it was some nice positive price action. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be something like this because this is the 2-hour time frame, which represented something on a completely different on a 24-hour time frame. That would be like the pivot point right here. Right now, we're in a different point and stage of the game in NIO, where you've now got that break, and we're essentially waiting to see if it makes that higher low. If we're just for fun here, no, not this one. Assuming the bottom's in here, you should expect like a minimum move to 677, potentially 832. For me, I'm all about like the fib retracements levels, and I believe your very first target again is going to be $8.41 and $9.89. It's going to take time, but it's not. I don't think it's unreasonable. Like by the end of July to get back up there. I mean, it's a pretty monstrous move to get up there, but I think it can definitely get up there. You can see on the 4 hours, we're actually below, but most of the rallies. Let's take a look here. You can get some pretty gnarly moves on that 4 hours. So the 2 hours and 1 hour are starting to look a lot better. A lot better. Let's see. Did this break? See, even on the 1 hour, you can see the momentum is shifting on the velocity. This is really, really good stuff, you guys. And it hasn't really made a lower low yet. And if it did, it opens up the possibilities to bullish divergence. There's just not so much to really report on a day-to-day basis. It's going to require patience. This play is testing a lot of people's patience, but when you look at it, it's still setting up a higher low. So it's quite good. And from a Fibonacci standpoint of view, it's just below the golden pocket. It gave you that retest here, which it bounced off, rejected. It may not be unheard of to get like that gap fill and that 0.786 bounce. Perhaps that could kind of, so these are potential targets. 415, you lose 415, things could get ugly. You could see it go below 363, but I think the end picture doesn't matter. It does not matter if it does decide to come down here. If you're a long investor, you're not really invested into options, and you're just willing to just hold this through, I think there will be light at the end of the tunnel here for NIO. It's just going to take a bit more time. There's a lot of things that are kind of impacting the price of NIO. One of them is this particular currency, the USD strength compared to the Chinese yuan. You don't want to see this climb too high. It is reaching pretty dangerous levels here, although it did give you a pullback. I tweeted about this. This is kind of scary. And if you were to compare that to the HSI, like the last time we were above this level, let's see, new price scale. So this is the Hang Seng when you had that monster move. The monster move was also followed with a nice breakdown on the on this currency. Now that it's breaking out a lot higher, take a peek here at the price action when this was breaking out way higher. And there was a bit of a lag when this thing kind of cratered. It took a bit for the Chinese market to fully give you that bounce here. But these are things that you don't want to. You can see that it's almost inversely related. Currency drops, tanks, the Hang Seng pumps. The currency pumps, Hang Seng struggles. You got that tank, and then you got like a bit of a pump here on Hang Seng. So like ultimately, you really don't want to see this kind of come down. Looking at it from a velocity standpoint of view, I haven't really done like a full technical analysis on this because there's a couple of different ways you can kind of look at that. Like you can say like, it broke out. And typically when you get the breakout, it's already like retraced above the golden pocket, which is crazy, that move. So if it loses the golden pocket, that would be a nice, like it's at a very interesting level, because if it loses this level, it might potentially come down to 7.22, which would be a massive drop. Like that would be significant. It doesn't move much. It typically moves like 0.01%. Like that would be like a pretty significant move, which Hang Seng tends to react quite heavily to it. Now, a lot of people are looking at this and thinking like, okay, is it breaking out? And that's what a lot of people are seeing here on the Hang Seng. Do we have that breakout? Yes, the velocity has broken out, but it could be setting up for a short before it breaks down further, potentially. Right? You could potentially see this test 18.7 or even 1900 and reject off the golden pocket and it come down. I mean, this would be welcome anyways, regardless. I think there's going to be upside coming here for the Chinese market because it's so badly oversold. What you got to watch for is when it comes back up to retest this golden pocket, because you now have that double top lower high, which means back down lower. Not saying it's going to do that, but it's a possibility, right? You got to always watch for that. Like even here where you kind of have like that breakout, came back up and retested the 0.5 to only break down further, right? You got to entertain that possibility. Now, the one thing you got to realize, I think at some point in time, this will get tested, this trend, which leaves some room to the downside. Currently, the velocity is telling me that it supports a move down here and potentially lower, which you don't want to see, because if it breaks out to the downside, then of course, how would that look like? Sorry, am I doing that right? I mean, the golden pocket's right there. 16.5. It could be, regardless of what it does, there might be another swing down. And what that would look like is, like, if this is the temporary bottom, and let's say it comes like right up there, maybe it reaches 18.7. Yeah, that would make sense. Comes up, and then you're kind of bottoming here, and things rock. It could be that, you guys. So just trying to keep perspective open. You don't want to be super optimistic and then just have your, just be like super disappointed when things don't work out the way you want them to work out. Another risk factor is the Dixie. The Dixie actually impacts this currency here. And I've got some drawings on here, but the market bottoms have been marked kind of like by, like, at least from here. You can see this is also directly related. We got that breakdown, and then we got another breakdown, which helped give you that rise. And again, it's tied to the U.S. market. There's no way around, like, saying like, oh, why is Hang Seng linked to the SPY and the Qs and the sympathy plays? It's because of the currencies. It's all interrelated. It's like currencies. If the U.S. dollar rises, that puts pressure on the Chinese dollars. And if the U.S. dollar rises, the SPY goes down, which brings the Hang Seng down. So if the U.S. dollar drops, the SPY goes up, the Q goes up, the American markets go up. And that's going to be relieve pressure off the USD CNH, and that's going to rise the Chinese equities. So there's no real way of escaping the Dixie. It is the ultimate currency that ties so many different assets. You're never really going to get a scenario where the SPY crashes and the Hang Seng goes up. They'll go together because the SPY crashing is going to mean the Dixie is rising. The Dixie's rising is super bad for the Chinese equities. So they're paired in, there's a certain level of correlation that happens, and you can't really escape it. And so I think that's kind of the hope for a lot of the bulls is when the SPY tops out and it craters, are we going to get a rise in the Chinese equities market? Like, will it go inverted? And it's not that simple. I think it's going to boil down to the currencies, because SPY going down would signal risk off, which would signal the US dollar rising. US dollar rising in that sense would mean this would rise. If this rises, that's going to also put pressure on the Hang Seng. So these are like the risk factors. But if you look at some of the macro economists and the macro traders, there's still a couple out there, reliable ones, that are suggesting that we still have a melt up until elections. So there's some people saying SPY has the opportunity to, get up to 600 before like an epic pullback. So I'm not gonna cross that bridge today. We cross that bridge when we get there. That's plenty of time for NIO to turn it around and make a significant rally. I think it's just consolidating here quite nicely, and we are waiting now for this thing to kind of flip and reverse. So that's it. That's my analysis for NIO this week. This week, I would say look out for a potential. I mean, it would make sense to come up and retest again. If it's going to go up, it's got to break out past here. So it might bounce and reject this again. You might get another test. I would look out for the test to the 413 and the gap fill. Those are two significant levels that I'm going to be watching, looking out for. A loss of this would look something like this. You get that retest, and then you get another like sweep of the lows where it forms another base, and you get like a swift reversal. So those are your scenarios here. Ideally, if you're a bull, you want to break above that golden pocket, and you just want to run, man. My guess, guys, if I had to give you guys a date, July is the month. You're going to see a big move by the end of July. That's my prediction. Again, I could be wrong, but I think by the end of July, NIO's going to make a monster move. Completely monster move. So, and I'm going to want to try. I think very soon you're going to see a monstrous move. The run will happen in July, in my opinion, just based off what I'm seeing. That's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed my analysis. Again, hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. My analysis can be wrong, but these are just my opinions. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any questions, or if you want to see me kind of include some additional analysis in my next upcoming video, don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section below this video. Also, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and hit subscribe if you want to be first to get notifications when I drop these videos. Thank you so much for watching, guys. This is Laser, and I hope you enjoyed my analysis. Cheers, and once again, have a nice weekend.